The weight is on, the cable groans, the marrow deep within the bones. How much to bend, how much to bear, before the snap is in the air. Alchemist spoke of the fixatio, the fixation, the moment where the volatile becomes stable, where the pressure is finally held within the matter. They knew that you cannot know what a thing is until you know what it can withstand. The great work is to search for the breaking strain. Strength is not the absence of a limit. It is the awareness of where it lies. Welcome back to the Simple Tapes. This is your friend Vinny. It is a sunny but chilly Sunday here in the Rust Belt. I'm sitting at my workbench. I'm looking at a shelf I just put up on the wall. I've been stacking old textbooks and old computer parts on it, one by one. Every time I add a box, I watch the wood. I'm looking for the bow. I'm looking for that tiny telltale curve that says no more. Today, we are looking at the breaking strain. This is the finale of season 2 of the Simple Tapes. We have been through the rust bath and the sandblaster. We have managed the heat and machined the gaps. Now, we are putting the machine on the test bench. We are talking about the simple dignity of knowing exactly how much you can carry before you break. In materials science, we use a universal testing machine. It is a device that slowly pulls a piece of metal apart or crushes it under a hydraulic press. For both cases, we are looking for the yield point. Every material has an elastic region. You can stretch it and it will snap back to its original shape. It's flexible. But once you pass the yield point, you enter plastic deformation. The metal stretches and thins. Even if you take the weight off, it will never be the same again. It has been permanently altered by the load. We live in a culture that tells us there is no yield point. We are told to push through the pain and hustle harder. But the physics of the lab tell a different story. If you do not know your breaking strain, you aren't necessarily strong. You are just dangerous to the rest of the machine. I once watched a YouTube video of a bridge being tested to failure. The engineers had built a scale model. They started piling on lead weights, 10 pounds, 50, 100, and so on and so on. The bridge was beautiful. It was silent. It didn't scream. It didn't complain. But if you looked through a higher powered lens, you could see the atoms of the bridge beginning to slide past each other. The metal was necking, getting thin in the middle like a piece of pulled taffy. And then, with a sound like a gunshot, it snapped. The engineers didn't look sad. They didn't see it as a failure. As a matter of fact, on the contrary, they cheered. Because now, for the first time, they knew the truth. They knew exactly what the bridge was capable of. They didn't have to guess anymore. They had found the limit. And in finding the limit, they had found the safety factor. I spent my whole life being afraid of my own breaking strain. I thought that if I ever hit my limit as a grad student / research assistant, it would mean I was broken. I treated my yield point as a shameful secret. I pretended I was made of a material that could never deform. I said yes to every project because I was terrified of the snap. But I realized that by avoiding the test, I was living in a state of constant anxiety. I was a bridge that did not know its own safety factor, its own weight limit. I had to put myself on the test bench. I had to put myself there to find the point where my elasticity ended. It was terrifying, I will admit, to feel the thinning of my patience and my mental health. But it was worth it because I found my safety factor. And since then, I've been able to cross my inner bridge without it snapping under the weight of added pressure. A man who's afraid to break will never know the weight he was meant to carry. So here's my challenge to you this week. Conduct a tensile test. Stop guessing. Find one area of your life where you are carrying a load, just in case. This week, add one more small weight. Not to be productive, but just to see what happens. Watch for the bow. Watch for the thinning. Find your no, this is enough. When you find the point where you start to deform, stop. Mark it, measure it, and write it down somewhere where you can see it every day. This is your safety factor. Once you know you're breaking strain, the weight can no longer scare you. You are fixed. You are stable. Stability is the prize of the test. Trust the snap. And hey, one small thing before you go. I was using an old rubber band to hold some pens together this afternoon. It was dry and cracked. I'm sure you can see where this is going. I stretched it out just a little bit to see if it would hold. It felt stiff. I gave it one more small tug and boom, it snapped right in my hand. It stung for a second, but I wasn't mad. I was relieved. If I had used that rubber band to hold something important, it would have failed when I wasn't looking. The snap told me exactly what that piece of rubber was worth. It gave me the truth. A broken tool is a warning, but an untested tool will always fail at the worst possible time. To paraphrase one of Murphy's laws, anything that can go wrong will go wrong at some point. Till next week, this is your friend Vinny. Keep it ordinary, keep it simple.